Hello, welcome once again. And today we are going to look at the Pulldata function while developing XLS forms for our mobile data collection tools. Yes, so at the end of the day, you should be able to understand how to use the Pulldata function to look up data from a file in a Kobo Toolbox platform using XLS forms. Uh, where do we apply this? This is applied, for example, when you may be conducting a study on your maybe beneficiaries of a project whom you already have. So there is some information that you may not want to ask them, but you just want to pull it from the system or from the database that you already have. So you can do it such that when you look on when you reach on an individual, sorry, as you're collecting data, you just pull their details from the system, from your database, and then proceed to ask them on other questions in case you are having them maybe. And we are going to look at that today. So the last time we met, we had seen our questionnaire. We had successfully completed our questionnaire. Let me try to load it. So this was it. In case you missed it, you can please check the playlist and you first do that so that you see where we are coming from. So this was our questionnaire. Once the person consents, uh, the other questions open up. The GPS, the region, district, gender, age group, uh, source of information on gender-based violence. Remember our project was on gender-based violence. And all these other questions. All right. So today, let us assume we have beneficiaries, and then we see how we can look up for their data in our system and be able to know, be able to get that information when we are interviewing those people. All right, so that is basically it for today, and these are my project beneficiaries. I already have unique IDs for them. I have assigned them unique IDs. I know their full names. I know their occupation. I know their telephone number, and we maybe we gave them training on gender-based violence. So I know we have tracked, or we have a master track of knowing that this person attended training on gender-based violence, and this one never attended training on gender-based violence. So this data I already have it, so I may just need to look it up from my database and not ask these same things again to the people. This will help you to ensure data quality as you're doing your data collection and analysis work. So basically, the Pulldata function syntax is as simple as this. It has the Pulldata function, and then you open brackets, and then the first item you have is the name of the CSV file of the data which is stored, or where you want to look up the values from. And then the next item in the syntax, it is a column name of the element you're looking for. Let's say I'm looking for full name of the project beneficiaries in my dataset file, which is beneficiaries in this case. And then ID, the third one is the unique ID in the uploaded file. And then the last is the name of the question, or of the ID that the person is looking for. So in other words, you enter a unique ID, uh, the system will go to the database and look for that unique ID and pick out whatever is there in the corresponding column you have indicated here in the Pulldata function syntax. All right, it is super easy. We are going to see it practically here. Yes. So let's quickly go into our file. I will open our questionnaire, which we already have. And as we have seen, I have this data: ID, full name, occupation, telephone number, and whether or not the beneficiary received training. So I am going to put this data and save it in a CSV file. So let me open an Excel file. Then here it is. Okay, this is my data. So I can save it maybe on my desktop, and then I will call it beneficiaries. Beneficiaries. And I save it as a CSV file. This is very key. Alright, save. So when I come in my questionnaire, I can add these questions maybe here in the background information. So I see GPS, so they can even come here after GPS. Where I have ID. So I will have an ID that is usually text, and maybe call it ID. Let me just call it IDD. Okay. So this is a unique ID of the beneficiary. So it can be something like enter unique ID of the beneficiary. All right. So we have full name, occupation, telephone, and received training. So the full name is also text, the occupation is text. I can have telephone number as text as well, and then also whether they received training or not, I can also have it as text. We could have it as select one, but now we are looking it up in the system or in the database, and that database where it is stored as a text file. So it is better to have it here as a text file rather than having a select one when it is actually a different file storage in the database. So I have a full name, so I can have it here, enter full name of the respondent, of the beneficiary. Okay. Then secondly, I have occupation. So I can put all right. What is the occupation of the beneficiary? Then the same applies to telephone number. What's the telephone number of the beneficiary? Sorry. And then finally, uh, whether the beneficiary received training. All right. So maybe I can have this one as occupation, OCC. I can have this one as telephone number, TEL. Can have this one as training, TRI, train. Okay. All these are mandatory. So now this is how the pull data function works. So this unique ID, we shall not touch it because it shall be the same ID as the one we have in our system. Okay. So what happens, you come in the calculate column, and that's where we put our pull data function. So we say pull data, we open brackets, uh, we open that single quotation, and then our data set was saved as beneficiary. Remember, it's data set, as we have seen from the syntax. It's data file, a data file name, then column of the element you're looking for, unique ID, and then the name of the ID you have entered in your XLS form. Simple as that. It's not really hard. So our file is saved as beneficiaries. So I will put here beneficiaries. Okay. Uh, then what are we looking for here? Try to hide these columns so that we can like that. Okay. Let me try to hide these columns so that we can be able to clearly see it. So here we are looking for the full name, and remember you put the name as it is in the CSV file that we have uploaded in on your system, where you are looking out the data from. Then also, as you're saving these column header names, you don't leave space within them. Okay. All right. So that is the column for the column header for the element we are looking for. And then next we put the unique ID of the file uploaded, and the name is just ID. So I'll put ID. Then finally we put the ID of the data file. Uh, Remember, I told you anything in XLS forms, we start with the $sign if we are referring to a name of a certain question. So we put a $sign, and then we open parentheses, and then we close. So that is our syntax, and this one is done. So what you do the same for occupation, you do the same for telephone number, and you do the same for whether the person received training. So all you need to change is to change the name. So here we shall have occupation, and instead of full name we put occupation. Okay, and then next we have telephone number. So we come and put it here, telephone number. The ID is the same, it doesn't change. Then finally we have whether or not the beneficiary received training on gender-based violence. So I shall copy this as it is and come and replace it with full name. Simple, easy. Alright, so now that we are done, I can come and save my file, an Excel file. Remember in our previous class I told us about validation, so I'll come and validate. Since I have the same tool as this, I can maybe change its name and add calculate to mean that this one has a calculate thing, because we have the same file name which we uploaded on our Kobo Toolbox account. So I come and validate this, and it has validated, it says complete. So I shall now go to my Kobo account, I close this and then open a new file. Sorry, I open a new form, and then I upload from XLS, and then I shall browse. This is my file, and it uploads. Okay, they want a description. Let me just put describing uh, describing Pulldata function on a gender-based violence study. Okay, this we agree this is humanitarian information and management, and we are in Uganda. So I create project created successfully. So here what you do, you come on settings, you go to media, and that's where you will upload your file. which you are looking up the data from. So you open, I saved it on desktop as beneficiaries, and I upload it. So once you have uploaded it, it will appear here in the attached files. So you'll just come back, and since we have already put our form, I can now deploy it, and my form has been deployed. So when I open, I should be able to fill my form. So again, consent, the person has consented. This is my GPS. So it will ask me to put the unique ID of the beneficiary. Let me pick one unique ID from our data set. So I have something like this, PT0003. So when I come and paste this one here, these fill automatically, as you can see. Full name fields, occupation fields, telephone number fields, and whether or not the person received training on gender-based violence, it also fills. When I put another ID, it shall fill. So that eases your work when you are dealing with specific beneficiaries, let's say on a project. You don't have to keep asking them what their names are, what their occupation is. All you need to do is to have this information already stored in the database file, which you can keep updating, and you use your pull data function in your data collection tools. And once you reach them, you'll just punch in the unique ID, and the rest of the information will pop up. So I may have maybe I may be having a question based on whether the person received training or not. So I can now use the skip logic to determine who answers that particular question. As simple as that. Thank you very much. It has been good to have you.